What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of the Heroes for Hire podcast. This is Hero Zero. This is the show where we choose one comic book character every single week. We talk their good points and their bad points, and we generally just give you a bit of a rundown of everything to do with that character. I'm joined as always by my best man, Mr. Shaun. Me and Shaun, how's it going?
Good. I was wondering if you never introduced me and just continued on with the report.
Yeah.
How do you think that would be as an episode?
I think top 3.
Ah, well, that's hurtful, first of all.
I didn't say number 1.
No, but you said 1, 2 or 3.
There's been 2 where you've been decent.
Which was them?
I can't quite remember it.
The ones that Conor Martin and called it.
So people should probably already know straight out. You can probably tell I'm a bit under the weather this week, so unfortunately it has lined up.
You look terrible.
I look horrendous. Thank you, Shaun. A true friend to say that to me. But I went on a stag last week.
I didn't even ask how it went.
And no, I went on a stag last week and I came back sick. So I've just been dying all week. So this is my voice. And I'm sorry about that. And I have to do the report. It's not Shaun's week. I'm sorry.
And I need more time for Secret Wars Part 2, I'll be honest.
He's doing Secret Wars. I couldn't be like, here, Shaun, jump in.
Yeah, can you just sub in real quick? It's fine.
You're not covering anything big, are you? Go do battle first.
Just phone it in. They won't mind.
Before we get started, by the way, on this week's report, I am going to do the usual stuff of we're going for 150 5-star reviews over on Spotify.
Getting up there.
Before the summer solstice, we're very close. We're 12 off as of this recording.
It's not bad. I've seen the numbers. There's 12 of you who haven't rated yet, sure. We know
you specifically. Sean's going to come to your house. Yeah. We know you.
You listening to this while you cook dinner, that's on you.
And I'm sick. I'll go to your house and cough on you and maybe your children. I will. I don't mind.
He said that before and he's done it.
So if you could head on over there and give us a 5 stars on Spotify, that would really help us out. We're on all the other platforms as well if you want to follow us there. We're on Blue Sky, where we're constantly, we don't really use Twitter anymore, or X or whatever the fuck it is.
I deleted it off my phone. I feel so good about
I'm proud
myself.
of you. I'm proud. Blue Sky is such a lovely place. Everyone's so nice to us over there.
Yeah, it's a nice little community there.
We just get to talk shit over there. So if you want to head on over to Blue Sky, we're all just having a few chats over there. But Shaun, one of our listeners did something incredibly cool this week. One of our patrons, Jack Markham, and I wanted to give him a shout out on the show because he has sent us his very first graphic novel. We have a full-on comic book.
It's unreal. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's like it's a real thing.
Yeah, so this would be one of our patrons, Jack Markham. He comes to all the hangouts. Just an absolute legend of a guy.
Yeah, been around for a while. Like, he's old guard of
and I feel like this graphic novel was written specifically for you because it's called Pirate Hunter, Shaun.
So, look, I mean, I'm going to read the shit out of it. It's going to be great.
We got our own very special copy because he was just nice enough to send it to us. We didn't have to pay for it. And I think then we just got to give him a shout because I think that's a really cool thing to do. I said, do you want anything? He said, no, I just like the show. I was like, fuck, okay, cool.
No, I'm really looking forward to reading it whenever Conor decides to give it to me. We can put there'll be a link below to the page for this.
Yeah, so you can get it on talesofcenterverse.com, or it's in like Forbidden Planet in Dublin City Comics.
It's in Forbidden Planet? That's unreal.
Yeah, it's in Forbidden Planet. It's in loads of different comic book stores all around Ireland. So if you want to, but we will put the link down below in the description if anyone wants to buy it or support local Irish comic book artists and comic writers. I think it's a really cool idea.
And you know me, I love pirates, so...
He's a big man for the pirates. So, Shaun, I wanted to give Jack a shout before we got into this week's report, but now it's time to talk about some DC characters, Shaun, because you talk Marvel characters and I talk DC characters. If I can get through this without choking even once, that's going to be a great thing.
Right. I'll sub in whenever you need me. Just you point.
Jump in. You haven't seen the report.
I'll start riffing. It's fine.
So this week, Shaun, I am going to be doing a character from the 90s. One of my favourite things, you know that I love. Character from the 90s that nobody remembers that I think is cool.
You have had a run of these as well.
It's like, I don't know what it is, but it's like I grew up in this kind of era, and then I'm just like, I want to find every cool weird comic book character from then.
Yeah, 90s was a time in comic books where everyone started taking big swings.
Yeah.
And it might not have worked, but by God, they tried.
So I am going to be covering a man otherwise known as Resurrection Man, Shaun.
Okay.
And
Jesus, perhaps?
He wasn't very good at it. He only came back the once.
It's true, and it did take him a while. Took him 3 days.
Took him ages, 3 days. What the fuck's that about? So Resurrection Man is a character I'm going to be covering, and I'm going to make a bold statement, as I do with, I would say every so often. I would say, Shaun, you are going to love this character.
Oh, okay. He's doing it based on vibes, folks.
So the creators are Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning, and Jackson Goose.
Dan Abnett writes a shit ton of Warhammer books.
Interesting, because during the early 90s, Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning were 2 British employees of Marvel Comics. Shaun.
Interesting. Those are 2 things that I love.
True. And Abnett was known mainly as an inker, though he had written every now and then. Lanning previously had written for the 2000 AD magazine. Now, they were brought in to revive the Great Lakes Avengers in the 90s.
Right. Okay.
Which is like a comedic offshoot of the Avengers, basically.
It's like, yeah, Squirrel Girl is like the leader of the Great Lakes Avengers a lot of the time.
The main problem that they had with that comic book was the fact that the team included a man called Mr. Immortal, who they felt was just too boring, because Mr. Immortal cannot be killed and is just immortal, as in the name. You
cannot reasonably give him stakes in a story.
Yeah, so with the power of immortality, they felt didn't really give them anything to work with. So they kind of dropped the idea of the Great Lakes Avengers. However, Lanning did think that it'd be interesting if they had a character. This is the big pitch, Shaun, and you can imagine them in the studio or in some sort of boardroom. If they had a character that could gain a new superpower every time he died, based on how he died.
Oh, so dude burns to death, but can shoot fire
resistant.
Fire resistance. Interesting. That's really fun.
So they tried a slight pitch to Marvel. Marvel didn't really get off the ground, so they went over to DC in the second half of the decade, and they pitched it to one of their editors, Eddie Berganza, who absolutely loved the idea. And Eddie's like, we want that in DC. We want the character who has the power set. So teaming up with the artist Jackson Butch Goose.
Great name.
Oh, it's great. So they penned Resurrection Man 1, which debuted in May of 1997. Now, there was a movie, I think, in like 98 called Resurrection Man, and like 2 books from the 90s also called Resurrection. None of them related to Resurrection Man.
Outstanding move, boys. Everyone had the same idea at the same time.
Between 94 and 98, there was 4 different things that had Resurrection Man, and none of them were connected to any of the rest of them.
Or maybe it's a reincarnation of Resurrection Man every time, you know?
So it all starts with our lead, unsure about anything other than his own first name. Coming across a gang about a committed drive-by on some helpless people. So the character's name, Mitchell Shelley, is Resurrection Man.
Regular man. Can I also just say, I already love this.
I know you do.
It starts and he does not know who he is.
Exactly. It's Wolverine. At the start, okay?
Yeah.
So he starts off no memory. Got the 90s amnesia, as we call it here.
It was so easy happening in the 90s.
So nobody can remember what happened. He can't remember. But he comes across a gang that's involved in a shooting. And they're about to shoot some teenagers. And Mitch is just wandering along, wanting to do the right thing. He jumps in front of the teens, only to start flying, which he never knew he could do because he has amnesia. Unfortunately, while the gang were distracted by the flying, it also meant that Mitch was now a giant target flying around in the air. So they completely shot him to death.
Interesting. Oh, right, okay. So he's now died a second time? guess.
We don't know, Shaun. He's got amnesia. So, however, Mitch then wakes up confused as to how he survived getting shot down in a hail of gunfire, finding out that he now has the power to harden the air around him, making it impenetrable to moving objects.
That's way cooler than being bulletproof.
Exactly. Using the jumbled memories he now has, he enters a town called Crucible, heads to the library to look up any info he can, and he gets the help of the librarian there named Irma, and he realises that he's a lawyer called Mitch Shelley, and he was reported dead 2 days ago after a gas explosion in a nearby town.
Right. Okay, so he's learning about his own past.
Yeah. Now, simultaneously, there's lots of characters that are here that we find out with Mitch. So I'm kind of doing that in the report, but you got to bear with me because it will make sense. So 2 assassins are chasing him, called the Body Doubles, and they're hunting after Mitch. Obviously, he doesn't know why. Think of like the Umbrella Academy season 1.
Yeah, okay, yeah. They're just they're these unstoppable forces coming towards him.
They're just coming for him. And Mitch then comes across a gas station diner shortly before an out-of-control truck risks everyone's life. So while he's just at this diner, a truck careers off the road, starts coming towards the gas station, and he manages to stop it with his hardened air power and save the unconscious driver. But before that, the truck then explodes, and the explosion creates a gas that the truck had started leaking, so the whole place blows up, right? And he dies again because he used his air to save the driver. He kind of stops the truck, gets the driver out. The truck then starts leaking, goes up because it hits into the fucking gas station.
Right, and this is what he's reading about in the library, is it?
No. This is now.
Sorry, different gas explosion.
Because he now has the air power.
Yes, sorry, I get you.
Double gas station.
He's died twice with gas being involved.
By gas, yes. 3 days later, the Body Doubles come across the diner, only they've turned up to the diner, and everyone at the diner's like, yeah, the dead guy was there, we dumped him in the freezer, and we're waiting for the police to show up, right?
Right.
This is a few hours later. So the Body Doubles go in, and freezer's empty, Shaun. There's no body. Mitch has resurrected and moved away. This time with pyrokinetic powers, because now
control flame.
Because now he can control flame. He wanders off, and he decides to consider himself a resurrection man. Because at the diner he heard them talking of a different resurrection man, or like a legend of a resurrection man.
That movie that was going to come out in the 90s.
They're talking about the 1994 novel Resurrection Man, right? And so this other guy apparently he hitchhikes and then kills the people who pick him up. Basically.
Okay. Right.
That's the deal. He's the baddie. That's right. There's 2 of them.
Okay, there's 2 resurrection men.
There's 2 resurrection men. So this is like the first few issues, they do a great job of like introducing Mitch, his interesting power, some ongoing villains, the general storyline. And we also kind of get the idea that like he's not an out and out hero, but he will step in to save people if he's around. Like he's not Superman.
Yeah, he's not patrolling rooftops and shit like that. But if something's going down, he's going to do his best to stop
he's not going to go on patrol, exactly. But if he's walking around town aimlessly because he has no memories and something happens, he'll step in.
He's just got a good nature.
Yeah. So it doesn't take long to get some answers after the next few issues reveal, where Mitch comes up, he actually fights along the Justice League fighting a Mazo at one point, and they're like, wow, you're really good. And he's like, I've no idea who I am. So Mitch returns to his hometown in order to find out some truths. This starts when Mitch reunites with his wife Paula, a lovely woman, Shaun.
He's got a wife.
He's got his wife Paula and his best friend Richard Besley. Now, the 2 of them, they're so good, Shaun. You're going to really love these 2. Nothing can go wrong with these.
Oh no, I don't think it's looking good for Paula and Richie.
Only to remember, once he meets them, that the gas explosion that he died in originally was their plan in the first place. So, this is where we find out the story of Mitch, that he was a dirty liar that allowed the mob to slowly take over his town, while he earned big bucks to protect all of the crooks. Eventually, Mitch wanted out, and he had planned to enter witness protection while spilling all the dirt to the FBI, only for Paula and Rich to shit themselves and think the mob is going to kill us. And so they hire a killer to blow him up and kill Mitch, not knowing that he has superpowers that can bring him back to life.
So even as a lawyer... Oh, so this superpower was never discovered? Until...
By his family, no.
Ah. Interesting.
Yes.
Fuck. That's such a fucking twisted tale.
So he finds out he was a dirty liar who wanted to go clean, and that his family got threatened by the mob, so they killed him.
Kind of love that. I kind of love learning who you are, but you don't like the person you were.
Yeah, exactly.
Unreal.
And then you also have, there's a weird plot in the comic as well. I read it earlier on today. Was there's an insurance claims investigator who thinks he's cheated his debt claim.
Oh, that's fun.
Sees him in town and is like, isn't that guy I paid out on 2 weeks ago? What the fuck?
It was a big policy that we paid out on, yeah.
So they think it's fraud, so they're chasing him. So, but one of my favourite parts about all of the early comics, so there's 18 issues altogether, and the first 12 are really good. Actually, I think there's 27 issues, so my apologies. But the first 12 are really good, right? Full story, and then it very much falls off a cliff. But
as was the trend in the 90s.
As was the trend. So there was, after this, a hit put on Mitch. Tommy, who's an assassin, he's a hitman. And I'm just going to call him Tommy. And he basically gets the job from the mob to kill Mitch. And they're like...
Easy.
They don't know, right? So
he's already been killed 3 times.
So Tommy shows up and he kills him. And Mitch comes back. And then Tommy figures out the fact that Mitch can't be killed. So... Tommy simply extorts more money from the mob. Since he was told to provide photographic proof of him killing Mitch, he kills Mitch a bunch of times and then takes the photos of each one, hoping to get paid for each individual kill, because he's paid per kill.
He's trying to loophole the mob.
Yeah. Simultaneously, the bad guys, who I want to introduce at this point, are called the Lab, right? Mm-hmm. And this is where we get introduced to the lab, and this is kind of where I got a bit annoyed, because then they start getting into more scientific stuff. So,
I don't want to know how it works. He just can do it. So
we find out the bad guys are called the Lab. They're the ones that hired the body doubles to kill him, and they gave him the powers because they gave him microscopic devices called tektites during experiments, and then he loses his memory that way.
You're losing me right here.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? But so they kind of half go into that and half don't. So they're like, so he gets blown up in the original gas explosion. Mm-hmm. Then the lab finds him and then experiments on him with the tektites, and he comes back to life. And they're like, oh, the experiment worked with the tektites.
Yeah.
Then later on, it's revealed that he's had this power for centuries and he just doesn't know. So the tektites don't actually, they're not the main source of his power.
So what do the tektites do?
So the tektites
give him memory loss?
I think they give him the superpowers, I think.
Oh, okay. So right, so he would originally come back as a regular man every time.
I think so, yeah.
But now with the tektite, it's like an adaptation defense kind
exactly.
of thing. Okay,
and so
I don't mind that.
Tommy the assassin actually starts liking Mitch, and so they come up with a plan. Mitch wants to attack the lab, and he wants to take them out because they're the big bads. Yeah. And he's like, I don't got good powers at the minute. So Tommy comes up with a plan. I'm going to kill you over and over again until we get the powers that we want, because it's randomized.
This is You know how The Flash, and they do all these weird experiments on The Flash in season 1? Yeah. I want that, but just killing this man in various ways.
So he kills him over and over again.
I fucking love this.
Until he finds the power that he can, like, manipulate matter. And then he's like, cool, now I have the powers to go attack the lab.
So I guess, like, if you kill him with, like, radiation poisoning or something, like
he gets, like, this weird, like, cosmic power that he can also control matter, and Tommy's like, nailed it. We've got the right one.
The best hitman in the world.
He comes back from the dead one time and he has the power to, like, create colourful butterflies in his hand, and they're like, no, that's not going to work.
Nah,
kill him again.
Here.
And so he gets reborn. So he spends... so then he attacks the lab. And while he's attacking the lab, his arch enemy... the other resurrection man that I mentioned earlier on, Shaun, called Hooker, is...
I mean, fair play. Also,
whatever he needs to get some money. But Hooker is there.
No, he's playing rugby, Conor.
He doesn't have the superpower thing. He just has the regular... He was like their first experiment on the tech checks.
Okay.
So the lab have made Hooker, and they've also made... Mitch. Well,
and a god.
And they've made the god. And Hooker shows up, he crashes the party, revealing his relation to the lab. He kills Fancy, who's the guy who's leading the lab, that's his nickname. It's really Umbrella Academy, this whole bit. He destabilises a nuclear reactor that powers the entire facility, and then Mitch grabs Hooker, and the two of them get blown up in the giant nuclear explosion in the middle of the lab.
I kind of called the radiation thing earlier on, let's be honest.
Yes. So that's kind of like... the lab's experiment granted him his resurrection power. He's also something much more. So his origin stretches back far into the past. So, by the way, that bit when it blows up, that's issue 12. And I was like, done. We've killed the arch enemy. It's all good. And then they bring him back to life and introduce a different villain halfway through.
Like, because 12 issues, that's a year of comics coming out, and they clearly had this arc planned, and then they're like, let's just fucking keep making them.
Yeah, and so the lab's experiment, as I said, at this point they think granted him resurrection power, but it's also something more. So his origin stretches back into the past. According to the Phantom Stranger, who is a character in DC Comics who's basically immortal, lived for a long time, he previously had the ability to reincarnate, each time becoming born again and growing as a new being. In fact, his truest cycle of reincarnation, Shelley has fought Vandal Savage throughout time, from the time of the cavemen to the present day, each time attempting to foil Savage's plan before being killed by Savage in battle.
That's really cool. And also, giving Vandal Savage just an actual archenemy is great.
So he's Vandal Savage's... So if you don't know, Vandal Savage, massive big bad in DC, immortal, has just lived forever. And like you see there's the great clips of like cavemen, and he's like leading over the cavemen, and he like through all of the centuries he's always there doing bad deeds.
Was he Genghis Khan in DC Comics?
There was a time where he was Genghis Khan, yeah.
Yeah. There's also that fuck thing of he has so many children and he just like harvests their organs and shit like that.
Yeah, he's a bad dude, I suppose.
Very bad dude. But now he has someone who can at least fucking try again every time.
Over and over again, but the problem is Mitch never remembers who he is. So he always gets reincarnated and try and save people and dies again.
Because he tries to help where he can.
Exactly. And at this point, after 12 issues, as I said, it feels like the story has come to an end. After all, Mitch finds out who he really was, puts a stop to his own life, finds out where he got his power from, and sacrificed himself to take down the big lab. But that's only halfway through, and the original run goes on until 2011.
Fucking hell. What?
So New 52 comes in, and they do try a New 52 storyline with Resurrection Man, but I didn't really want to touch on that. I wanted the original 90s vibe.
Yeah. The 90s bullshit kind of thing.
The original run was, 97 to 99, but he reappears lots of times in between.
He's popping up everywhere.
He just pops up everywhere. And by the end of the Resurrection Man series, he helped face down a threat to the multiverse. And the threat had to do with Mitch's origins, Vandal Savage, and the Immortal Man. The threat was stopped when Immortal Man sacrificed himself to save the multiverse. Since then, Resurrection Man wanders the DC universe, helping others and fighting crime outside the mainstream DC universe.
Interesting. It's very like Hobgadling in The Sandman. Just this man who never dies, Hobgadling doesn't die, Mitch dies. But he's always around and he's always doing stuff, even if you don't see him on the page.
There is a non-canon story where in the 853rd century, Shelley has survived to this area, and he's an official member of the Justice Legion in the 853rd century.
Jesus.
By then, he's developed a device called the Resurrector, which attaches to his wrist and that could kill him in a way that allowed him to select specific powers at any time. The immortal Vandal Savage, however, was able to use this device against him, reprogramming the Resurrector to constantly kill Shelley, never giving him a chance to resurrect.
Because that's the only way to shut him down. Is
just having this constant loop of death and resurrection. Yeah,
there's a comic Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. And he does a similar thing to Wolverine, that anytime his heart raises above 0 BPM, he's instantly electrocuted again every time.
Yeah.
So he's technically dead as long as that system keeps working.
And, okay, so powers and abilities, Sean. I'm going to try and get into this. So Resurrection Man, super cool character. He's got immortality, obviously. It's impossible for him to truly die. He automatically and instantly resurrects from any death he suffers. He perfectly regenerates, completely recovers from any injuries and all damages. The difference between him and Hooker, by the way, Hooker can still feel his pains, and he resurrects. But however he died, he can still, he has wounds. So he goes insane.
Because he's just living a life of pain and misery.
Yeah.
He's been shot dozens of times, I imagine.
Exactly. So Mitch does not age, doesn't get sick. He doesn't need to eat or drink or breed. He doesn't, nothing impacts him in any way.
And is it that he doesn't need to, or it...
Doesn't matter.
So he can't die from being in space?
No.
Fucked. Insane.
Because he'll just keep coming back to life until he finds a land where he can just breathe for a second.
Yeah, okay, I get you. Yeah,
and then he'll float until he finds something that he can breathe for 1 second, and then immediately have the power that he doesn't need to breathe in space.
And suffer none of the negatives aside from losing his memory.
Yeah, so I took down some of the things that he has died from and the powers that it has given him.
Excellent. Wait.
Gas explosion, flight. So he was involved in a gas explosion. Now he has flight to get out of there.
Nice.
He was shot and fell to his death. Air manipulation. The tank truck explosion, pyrokinesis. He fell to his death after saving people. He got empathetic powers, which I'm not quite sure what that means.
Emotional control, like Jasper from Twilight.
Yeah. He died from rat poison, and then he became a rat-human hybrid. He was stabbed multiple times once, but he did not live long enough to come back, because he kept coming back to life and then kept getting stabbed.
Right, okay.
So he was decapitated. He got hardened skin that was unable to be cut. He was shot in the head, where he got flame emission and blasts. He was hit by a car, which gave him shape-shifting.
That one's a stretch.
He was shot in the head by the hitman and gave him chameleon powers at one stage. He was shot in the head and the hitman gave him x-ray vision. This is all the times Tommy killed him.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's do this.
And then he was shot in the head and he got cosmic atomic powers.
Jesus. Because that's the most efficient kill to come back quickly from, and then you'll just have something new.
Exactly. During the nuclear explosion, after that blew up, he got shadow form powers, in which he could just be a shadow.
Deadly. Unreal.
He was killed by lawn lights while in shadow form, and then he got density manipulation because he could make himself dense or not dense.
Density manipulation is such a fucked power when you really think about it. Yeah. It's insane.
He was shot to death. He could turn anything into glass. He was hit by a train, then he could transform into a bat-like creature. It's completely randomised.
Yeah,
so
it's not necessarily related to the death. It's just...
No, he dies, and it can be... So, like, he was hit by a train. So if he had the power to turn into a bat-like creature, he wouldn't have been hit by the train. But it's not necessarily the first power you think of to avoid being hit by the train.
He's like Darwin as well, in that like he does adapt to survive. He just has to die first.
And the last one I wanted to include was blimp explosion, Shaun.
You know I love a blimp explosion, Conor.
He got transformed into a gargoyle-like creature after that one.
I guess they could survive a blimp explosion. Even if the G720, I mean.
And he also has genius-level intellect. He's indomitable will. He's got investigation, business management, leadership, multilingualism, martial arts. He's got marksmanship because he was once a cowboy and a sheriff in the Wild West, but he can't remember.
He was a lawyer.
Yeah, so he was a lawyer, so he's got that. It doesn't say if he was a good one because he was taking bribes from the mob, so not quite sure.
It's like a Saul Goodman type.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's got every power, basically, or any random power.
Yeah, on an infinite time scale, he would have every power.
Exactly. So he could just keep dying over and over and over again.
But he just... And he loses his memory every time and he has to get caught up on stuff, is it?
Sometimes he memorises everything. That was apparently the only time where he forgot everything.
Oh, right.
After the experiment and stuff, I think that was just the introduction to the story. Then it became easier.
Makes sense. Cool.
So my one line that I love is that he can become more powerful than any single member of the Justice League or any single person in DC if he resurrects right.
Yeah, if he gets what he needs.
So
he's unstoppable.
I mean, it's a 1,000,000,000 to 1 shot, but one said he will resurrect once, where he has the greatest powers ever.
Yeah, there will be one time when he resurrects and he is like more powerful than, what's the name of that fucking lad with the green hood in DC? The Spectre. And he's that level of control.
Yeah, like he's just a god.
Yeah. Damn.
And so you just keep killing him and he just keeps coming back.
Yeah, but occasionally he can make butterflies.
Yeah, exactly. So that is my report on Resurrection Man, Shaun, a character I thought you might like.
Yeah, no, I really like that. That's a really cool idea. And it's something I'd love to see, just even a 10-minute short film of just all the ways they kill this
I think
man.
It's underrated. I'd like to see Resurrection Man come back.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him before this.
And I love the idea of him and Vandal Savage. And like Vandal Savage just keeps bullying him.
Yeah.
And it's just like this fucking idiot just keeps coming back.
And I love him as a response to Mr. Immortal, who like instead of not being able to die, oh no, you can die. But there is a trade-off. Like, you do get something from it.
You die, you go through the pain, you come back, but you might have no power, like a shy power, or you could be God.
Yeah, or you could have a power that is harmful, like you're always water or something.
Yeah, like so like he came back as a shadow for a while.
He was a rat man for a bit.
Yeah. So that's my report on Resurrection Man, Shaun. I got through without dying even once, but so if you want to take us out, that'd be cool.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Hero or Zero. We will be back on Monday with another episode of the Heroes for Hire podcast, and also we will have an episode of Heroes for Hire Presents Weird News. All on Spotify, all on every podcast platform. Make sure to leave a rating and a review and a comment if you really want to. There's the Patreon is down below, patreon.com/Heroes for Hire podcast. Twitter is @Heroes for Hire pod. The 4 is the number 4. Facebook is Detective Devilment's discussion group. Instagram is Heroes for Hire podcast. Blue Sky is Heroes for Hire podcast. And the best way to ever help out the show is to tell one human being that we exist. A motorbike just went past the house.
Just the one, please.
I think that's about it, Conor.
I think so. So I've been Conor Lawler.
I've been Shaun Neal.
And we shall see you all next week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.